Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just won the MVP once again, but not everybody is happy about it. According to reports, some NBA stars are furious about the entire thing, and a few of them are already revealing why they believe SGA didn't deserve the award. On the morning of May 17, 2026, ESPN's Shams Charania posted a message on X that changed the trajectory of the entire day. He revealed that Oklahoma City Thunder guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had won his second consecutive NBA Most Valuable Player award. The problem, the league had reportedly planned to officially reveal the MVP during Sunday's Game 7 clash between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons on Amazon Prime Video at 7:30 p.m. ET. Shams dropped the news approximately 8 hours before the planned announcement. The basketball world erupted. As expected, the NBA world did not take the news lightly. One reaction on X read, "Shams is absolutely shameless. Not even supposed to announce the MVP until the Game 7 pregame show, and he goes and ruins it like 8 hours beforehand." Another post from Polymarket Hoops highlighted the situation plainly. The MVP award was supposed to be announced on Prime that night, but Shams leaked it before. But the leak was only the spark. The real fire had been building all season long. SGA was named the NBA's Most Valuable Player for the second consecutive season Sunday, winning the award in a landslide after another stellar year for the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder. Gilgeous-Alexander led the way with 83 of the 100 total first-place votes, while Jokic finished second and Wembanyama third. Jokic got 10, Wembanyama received 5, and Pistons star Cade Cunningham, who finished 5th in the voting behind 4th place Luka Doncic, got 2 first-place votes, a landslide. 83 out of 100 first-place votes. And yet, despite the overwhelming margin, voices across the league, players, coaches, former players, had been questioning whether SGA truly deserved to hold that trophy again. Some believe the award belonged to Nikola Jokic, who had just averaged a triple-double for the second consecutive season. Others were firmly in Victor Wembanyama's corner, after a season that reshaped how people think about defense and two-way impact. And then there was the Luka Doncic camp, the league's leading scorer, left off the finalist list entirely, whose supporters were perhaps the most vocal of all. This is a story about more than one trophy. It is about a broken rule, a bitter debate, competing legacies, and a quiet Canadian kid from Toronto who keeps collecting hardware while everyone around him loses their minds. To understand the frustration, you first have to understand just how dominant Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was during the 2025-26 regular season, because the anger directed at his MVP win isn't rooted in any claim that he was bad. It's rooted in the belief that somebody else was better. During the 2025-26 regular season, he averaged 31.1 points per game, on 55.3% shooting from the field. He is the first guard in NBA history to average more than 30 points per game at that efficiency level. He also contributed 6.6 assists and 4.3 rebounds per game. Those numbers alone place him in rare air. But the details underneath them reveal something even more staggering. SGA set the NBA record for most consecutive 20-plus point games on March 12, when he posted his 127th straight game in a win over the Celtics. He eclipsed the previous mark held by Wilt Chamberlain since 1963, extended his streak to 140 games through the end of the regular season, and will continue adding to it in 2026-27. Wilt Chamberlain, a record that had stood for over 60 years, obliterated by a guard who operates with the calm demeanor of someone picking up groceries. He played in 68 games this season, becoming the first player since Chamberlain in 1963-64 to score 20-plus points in every game of a regular season. And then there was the clutch. In games within 5 points in the final 5 minutes, or overtime, SGA led the NBA with 175 total clutch points. He averaged 6.5 clutch points per game, marking the second highest single-season mark in league history. He shot 51.5% from the field in clutch situations. He also led the league with 16 go-ahead clutch field goals, and in clutch plus 93. The Thunder posted a 20-7 record in clutch games when he played. It's no surprise that the MVP win is SGA's second individual award this season. He was also voted the league's Clutch Player of the Year. He got 96 of 100 first-place votes in that balloting. The broader picture tells the same story. Over his last 2 MVP seasons, Gilgeous-Alexander has totaled 92 games with 30-plus points, 21 games with 40-plus points, and 5 games with 50-plus points. He joins Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 1970-71, 1971 to 72. As the only players in NBA history with at least 90 30-point games, 20 40-point games, and 5 50-point games across back-to-back MVP seasons. This is the fourth straight season that Gilgeous-Alexander finished in the top 5 in MVP voting. He finished 5th in 2022-23 and 2nd in 2023-24, before winning the past 2 seasons. In that span, Gilgeous-Alexander became the first player since Jordan to average at least 30 points in 4 consecutive seasons. The team's success was undeniable too. The Thunder guard also shot a career-best 55.3% from the field, while helping Oklahoma City finish with a league-best 64-18 record for the 2nd straight season. And he did it while his roster crumbled around him. Gilgeous-Alexander arguably had to shoulder a greater offensive burden this season, with Jalen Williams limited to 33 games due to lingering hamstring injuries. Ajay Mitchell, Alex Caruso, and Isaiah Hartenstein also missed 25 or more games this season. He led the team with the most regular season wins, 64, and he did so with his only teammate, who had made an All-Star game before this season, Jalen Williams, playing 33 diminished games. Only 2 Thunder players, Cason Wallace and Isaiah Joe, managed to play 70 games this season. So the numbers say one thing, but the rest of the league, they say something very different. The 2025-26 MVP race was crowded. It wasn't just SGA against one challenger. It was SGA against a 3-time MVP, a generational defensive force, and the league's leading scorer all at the same time. And each camp had a legitimate grievance. Start with Nikola Jokic. Jokic had the 7th instance of a player finishing a season averaging a triple-double, at least 10 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds per game, by putting up 27.7 points, a league-best 12.9 rebounds, and a league-best 10.7 assists per game. It wasn't good enough for MVP. Think about that for a moment. A man averaged a triple-double, led the entire league in rebounds and assists simultaneously, and he didn't win the award. Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double 4 times, and won MVP only once in those years. Oscar Robertson averaged a triple-double in 1961-62. He didn't win MVP that season, and now Jokic has done it twice, with no MVPs to show for it, though he has won the award on 3 other occasions. It's the 6th straight year Jokic finished in the top 2 in MVP voting, a feat that had previously been accomplished only by Bird, 1981-86, and Russell, 1958-63. 6 straight years in the top 2. And yet, he finished 2nd again, this time collecting just 10 first-place votes. Nuggets coach David Adelman openly lamented the situation. He said he hopes the 65-game rule is changed somehow this summer. He said if players like Jokic can play 64 games, never wanting to come out, and not be award eligible, then something is wrong. That's not the spirit of what that rule is. Adelman said Jokic nearly missed the 65-game threshold himself. Wembanyama reached it in the penultimate game of the season, and Jokic reached the mark on the final day. Had they fallen short, this entire race would have looked even more absurd. Then there was Victor Wembanyama. The 7'4" phenom from France didn't just have a breakout season. He had a paradigm-shifting one. Victor Wembanyama became the youngest and first unanimous winner of the Defensive Player of the Year award and muscled San Antonio back to the postseason for the first time since 2019. Wembanyama led the league with the Spurs' scoring margin improving by 16 points per 100 possessions, with him on the court versus with him off. Jokic, 13.5 pp100, and SGA, 12.6 pp100, both measured well in this impact stat as well. But when Wembanyama made his public case for MVP by saying he believed he had the biggest impact in the NBA, due to his blend of defense and offense, there is tangible data to support his argument. Wembanyama wasn't shy about stating his case publicly, and the analytics backed him up. Since Feb 1, the San Antonio Spurs had won 27 of 29 games to force their way into the mix for the NBA's best record. That kind of late-season surge was precisely the type of narrative that could shift an MVP race, and it nearly did. Victor Wembanyama's rapid ascent to the top of the Kia MVP ladder forced a major recalibration of expectations. For a brief stretch in late March, Wembanyama actually sat atop the NBA's MVP ladder, sending shockwaves through the league. And then there was Dwight Howard, the former NBA champion, who captured the sentiment of many when he posted on X, "Wemby my MVP." But congrats Shy, what you doing is incredible. Respectful, but the subtext was clear. Not everyone agreed with the voters' choice. But perhaps the loudest frustration came from the Luka Doncic camp. No conversation about the 2026 MVP race is complete without addressing the elephant in the room, the 65-game rule. It loomed over this season like a dark cloud, distorting the race in ways that left several of the league's biggest names seething. The MVP race was hugely impacted by the NBA's 65-game rule. All of the major contenders for MVP suffered injuries at some point in the season that led to extended absences, and when they did, their MVP odds cratered. Among the finalists, Wembanyama suffered his injury first in mid-November, then Jokic in late January, and Gilgeous-Alexander in February. But here's the critical detail. While Wemby's and Jokic's injuries projected that both could miss the 65-game threshold, and thus plummeted both's MVP odds on DraftKings, SGA's injury never truly threatened his eligibility, so his odds never slid. Luka Doncic had the most jaw-dropping individual statistical season of anyone in the league. Doncic led the NBA in total points and points per game in his first full season with the Lakers. He averaged 33.5 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 8.3 assists a night, while shooting 47.6% from the field, 36.6% from beyond the arc, and 78.0% from the free throw line. Doncic led the league in points per game, 33.5, 30-point games, 28, and 40-point games, 14, while keeping the Lakers in the mix for a top 3 seed all season. He even had a 600-point month in March, the first since Michael Jordan in 1987. And yet, despite the scoring prowess, dominance, and being the best player on a 53-win team, he wasn't even a finalist for Most Valuable Player. The reason Doncic's eligibility for the MVP, All-NBA consideration, and other awards, was recently under the spotlight since he appeared in 64 games and failed to reach the 65-game threshold. However, the NBA and National Basketball Players Association announced that he was eligible due to the extraordinary circumstances provision in the CBA, because he missed 2 games for the birth of his daughter in Slovenia. He was also suspended for a game due to hitting the technical foul limit for the season, then missed the last 5 games with a hamstring injury. Los Angeles Lakers guard Luka Doncic and Detroit Pistons guard Cade Cunningham will be eligible for end-of-season awards after the NBA and National Basketball Players Association agreed that both would be allowed to bypass the 65-game threshold. The NBA's collective bargaining agreement includes an extraordinary circumstances clause that a player can use to petition to make the ballot if he falls short of the 65-game minimum. The NBA and NBPA agreed that, taking into account the totality of the circumstances for Cunningham and Doncic, each player qualified for awards. Doncic, along with Pistons guard Cade Cunningham, appealed to the NBA to not enforce its 65-game rule for regular season awards. They won their case, but in the end, Doncic will have to wait to attempt to win his first MVP award. The appeal was successful, yet the voters still didn't budge. Lakers head coach JJ Redick didn't hold back his feelings. Disappointed, Redick said. I think he deserved to be there, and I think all 3 guys that did end up being finalists had strong cases. A lot of this, unfortunately, is media momentum. Redick attributed the snub to a lack of narrative backing, suggesting that the award is often influenced by media-driven energy that never materialized for Doncic this season. The frustration didn't stop with Doncic. The rule has been a hot topic this season, as players such as Giannis Antetokounmpo, Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Devin Booker, and Edwards aren't eligible for awards after failing to reach the 65-game threshold. A number of players will be ineligible for most major individual awards this season because of the 65-game rule, including the Lakers' LeBron James, whose 21-year streak of making an All-NBA team will end. LeBron James. A 21-year streak shattered not by decline, but by a technicality. Anthony Edwards tried to appeal too. Edwards, who played in 60 qualified games, also tried to get on the awards ballot through the Extraordinary Circumstances Challenge, but sought his approval before an independent arbitrator. His challenge was denied. Even Dwayne Wade, watching from the outside, saw the writing on the wall. That's something right there that is uncontrollable, Wade said. I love the NBA did that, but also, good luck, because now everybody is about to appeal. The 65-game rule was originally designed to combat load management, stars sitting out games for rest, frustrating fans who paid to see them play. The union, which worked with the league to come up with the 65-game policy, has said it wants the rule changed, saying it was put into place to address load management and not to keep deserving players from awards. NBPA President Fred VanVleet of the Houston Rockets said the situation is an opportunity for us to reevaluate the rule in itself. VanVleet said he thinks voters should be able to make decisions for all NBA and other awards on a case-by-case basis. But the rule's impact on the 2026 race was unmistakable. It didn't just shape who won, it shaped who was allowed to compete. Through all the noise, the leaked announcement, the 65-game controversy, the arguments for Jokic and Wembanyama and Doncic, one person remained characteristically unbothered: Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA became just the fifth guard to win back-to-back MVP awards, and he joined some pretty elite company: Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Steve Nash, and Stephen Curry. He is now the 16th player in NBA history to win multiple MVP awards, joining the 6 existing two-time winners, the 4 three-time winners, the 2 four-time winners, the 2 five-time winners, and the lone 6-time winner, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Gilgeous-Alexander is only the 5th active player to be named the MVP in consecutive seasons, and the 7th over the past 40 years to win multiple MVPs before turning 28. The others are Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Stephen Curry, Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James. Every retired player to win consecutive MVPs has been inducted into the Hall of Fame. When asked on the NBA on Prime how he'd remember this time 10 to 15 years from now, SGA kept it perfectly in character. Probably something like, "Damn, I used to be nice, I don't have it no more," he said with a laugh. "2 feels pretty sweet, but we got a lot of work to do," he added. He credited the city and the franchise, not himself. "It's been 4 MVPs in the last 12 years to go through this building. And I don't think that's a coincidence," he told reporters. "There's a reason why you have success when you come through this program, and this facility, and this city." It's worth noting that Gilgeous-Alexander was the number 11 overall selection out of Kentucky in 2018 by the Charlotte Hornets. His rights were traded to the Los Angeles Clippers on draft night for Miles Bridges and 2 second-round picks. 1 year later, SGA was dealt to the Thunder with 5 first-round selections, 2 first-round pick swaps, and Danilo Gallinari, in exchange for Paul George and a first-rounder. A side piece in the Paul George trade. That's what SGA was. And now he is a 2-time MVP, a Finals MVP, and a Clutch Player of the Year, all before his 28th birthday. If he claims his 2nd championship in June, he has a chance to join one of the most exclusive clubs in all of basketball history. Only 2 players have won both the regular season and Finals MVP awards in back-to-back seasons, and they're the 2 players anyone would most want to associate with: Michael Jordan in 1991 and 1992, and LeBron James in 2012 and 2013. That is the sort of historical company Gilgeous-Alexander now has a chance to keep. This is Gilgeous-Alexander's age 27 season, which would historically suggest he will be right back in the mix next season. Every winner since Derrick Rose in 2011 has been between their age 24 and age 28 seasons, meaning Gilgeous-Alexander is still in the age range that would suggest he could possibly three-peat. However, history has been enormously unkind to players seeking 3 consecutive MVP trophies. Russell, Chamberlain, and Bird are the only players to ever win the award 3 times in a row. That means Jordan and James, widely regarded as the 2 greatest players in the history of the sport, both failed to do so. Now comes the real test. The Thunder won't have long to celebrate the award, as their much-anticipated series against MVP rival Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs is set to start Monday evening in Oklahoma City. The 2-time MVP against the Defensive Player of the Year, the man who won the trophy against the man many believe should have. If the anger about SGA's MVP win needs a resolution, this Western Conference Finals is where it begins. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is expected at Monday's game to formally present Gilgeous-Alexander with a trophy for the 3rd time in 12 months. The MVP award last May, the NBA Finals MVP award last June, and now this. So are NBA stars furious that SGA won MVP again? Some are. The Doncic supporters feel the 65-game rule warped the race before it started. The Jokic loyalists point to a triple-double season and 6 straight years of top 2 finishes. The Wembanyama believers cite impact metrics that put their man above everyone else, and they all have points worth hearing. But here is what is also true. SGA led the best team in basketball, broke a 63-year-old Wilt Chamberlain record, put up the most efficient 30-point scoring season ever by a guard, won Clutch Player of the Year in a near-unanimous vote, and received 83 out of 100 first-place ballots. The frustration is real, but so are the numbers. And so is the trophy sitting in Oklahoma City. As SGA himself reflected in his acceptance speech, "When I picked up a basketball when I was 9 years old, playing AAU, I never sat there like, I want to be an all-star. I want to be an MVP. I sat there like I want to win this tournament." 2 MVPs, a title defense underway, and an entire league watching, some in awe, some in frustration. Either way, they're all watching SGA.